Hi, my name's Andrea Benelli with Dreya Ink, and I'm here with Taylor Perry at his location for Scalp Micropigmentation. We're going to talk today a lot about the prevention of cross-contamination and infection prevention. So you always want to make sure there's some type of protection or barrier between your client and your equipment to make sure that nothing on your equipment will get onto your client or the wound site in particular. And you want to make sure that your dirty client doesn't get you and your equipment all dirty. So I think what sets myself as well as Taylor and Brandon apart from the industry is our stress on making sure that we prevent the spread of disease and infection, our sanitation practices. The second I walked in the building, I noticed how immaculately clean it is, the barriers that they're using with each and every client. It's really disheartening to see how unregulated the industry is and the fact that sanitation practices are not everyone's standard.
This video is about teaching upcoming artists, even the old artists, how to properly set up your station, and for the clients that are looking for SMP, things to look for when you're choosing the correct artist to do your SMP. Something I shouldn't have to show everybody, but unfortunately I do. Basic cross-contamination, everything you touch needs to be completely covered. Everything.
So one of the #1 risks that anybody in this industry or healthcare workers in general are more susceptible or a greater risk to contract HBV, even more so than HIV, just because of how prevalent it is. And the education about viruses and bacteria are lacking in this industry tremendously. Most people don't know that viruses can live outside of human bodies an extended period of time on any surface. And if not cleaned properly, that can of course spread from person to person.
Also, another thing, before you start setting up your station, you need to really wash your hands, make sure they're super clean before you even start.
So you should always make sure the water is at a tepid temperature whenever washing your hands, not too hot, not too cold, and make sure that you're vigorously rubbing for 15 to 30 seconds. So whenever you're wiping down what I call a medical surface, that's any surface that's coming into direct contact with the client and your working site, you always want to make sure that you use not only just regular alcohol, but something that is also what's called a tuberculicide. And you want to make sure you rub down real good, and after you have wiped everything down, you are actually supposed to wait 15 whole minutes before anything else touches that surface to make sure that we murdered all of those viruses.
If you're looking at an SMP artist and they're working on headrests and neck pillows that aren't wrapped, run as fast as you can. Don't even think twice about going to them, because they obviously have absolutely no concern about your well-being.
Each treatment session room should always have their own biohazard box. It's actually imperative that anything that has come into contact with bodily fluids goes into a biohazard bag. You want to make sure that the biohazard box is actually not too tall so you can see down inside of it and make sure that you don't prick yourself trying to stick stuff in there. One thing in particular that really grinds my gears is the fact that people are not talking about what type of pigment they're using. I can't tell you how many clients come in with botched eyebrows, want me to fix it, but they don't understand that the pigment I'm using might interact with the pigment that was previously used. Pigments in this industry are not regulated as well as they should be, so you should be discussing that with your artist. So it's important to use cord wrap to make sure that we prevent any kind of transmission from germs from the cord to the wound area or the area that we're treating, to make sure that our cord's protected as well. And you want to make sure that you wrap it all the way to the tip to prevent anything from getting on your machine, because you're using the same machine from person to person. Hands should be washed, and you want to make sure you tape that tip up real good, just the tip.
So when I wrap the machine, I usually fold the tip over, cover this. Just put a little bit of masking tape on it to hold, put it pretty tight so you don't got no play in the plastic. And I just use some sticky tape, like sports sticky tape. And I just put a little bit on, just kind of give myself some grip and a little bit of cushion. You know, I do 3 to 4 heads a day, 3 hours each. You know, I need a little bit of cushion for my fingers. After it's wrapped, I just take a little pair of scissors, cut a little hole at the tip, So the cartridge could fit in, good to go.
So I actually come from a long line of tattoo artists. Every single one of my siblings own tattoo shops. So I've been around the practice for a very long time, and I was very impressed with Taylor's entire setup for every procedure. Him and Brandon have the most immaculate shop that I've seen in South Florida, and if you're looking for real quality pigmentation as well as education, this is definitely the place I would recommend.